Hello and welcome to this version 1 video blog about Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. This particular video blog is about cost saving reductions for Oracle OCI. My name is Paul Bullen. I'm a principal license consultant here at version 1, which means I help customers manage their Oracle assets, whether that's Oracle licensing, Oracle Cloud services, and help people independently manage these assets to get the most out of them and to make sure they are optimized. So a quick recap, in case you're not aware of how Oracle Cloud works. It's on the basis of a single committed spend to Oracle over a period. So let's just say that's a year. In that basis, you make one single commitment to Oracle, let's say $1 million for that period, that you then draw down from that 1 million based on the services you consume and the types of services, the volume of those services that you activate, that will draw down from that overall commitment. Now, the key word there is commitment. You have committed to pay that to Oracle, so you won't be able to cost save or reduce that overall commitment. Once you're into that agreement, the next challenge for you to reduce that will be at the next renewal. Obviously, that's something which will happen once you've been through your first period or your current period of OCI commitment. So you're not going to be able to make a difference to how much you pay to Oracle, but what you can do is optimize the usage of that commitment in order that you don't exceed that commitment and go into overage, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's obviously better to be within the commitment you made rather than overshooting that forecast you've made previously. So the overall cost won't go down, but your consumption levels will do. And that's the focus of today's session. So service selection and the SKUs you use, the service levels that you use are absolutely key to the consumption rate, and they can have a really big effect. So things like Oracle Database are a really good example. There's multiple editions available, and each one of those has an associated cost with it, which are wildly varying. I'll show you those in a second. You can see some of the services here. You've got standard edition, right all the way up to extreme performance. So selecting the right one of those is absolutely key to your consumption rate and the overall cost that you're paying to Oracle. So you need to have a look at the footnotes in the PaaS-IaaS service descriptions Oracle publish in order to determine which service you really need. Do you need all the bells and whistles? Are they actually providing business benefit to you? Or can you go for a less expensive version and therefore bring down the overall consumption cost? Hopefully there you can see that is an excerpt from the price list. The prices change quite significantly. If you look at the sort of cheapest version, Enterprise Edition, that's 43 cents per hour for an OCPU. If you go to the Extreme Performance Edition, that's $1.33 or 34 per hour for an OCPU as well. That's obviously a fully loaded cost with lots of database options there. You can see on the right-hand side the sort of extra cost options you have there. Again, you need to really be sure that you need these options in order to pay for them. Unfortunately, you can't mix and match and choose certain options and not others. It's all based on the bundle you want, and that will then determine which edition you actually need or which variation you need. Scaling is a really key thing to optimizing cloud costs. So the mindset we want people to get into is it's not like on premises where you have some spare CPU capacity hanging around. You want to burn these virtual machines hot. You want to have them as close to 100% as you possibly can do, with obviously some understanding that there needs to be a bit of capacity available there. So you shouldn't be idling these machines and running them at 20%. These virtual machines should be running hot CPU-wise for you to get the most out of what you're paying to Oracle. You can have different types of auto-scaling in this sort of environment as well. So that's quite important. If you have non-auto scaling, that's not automatic, you will have to script something, for example, to change the CPU count off peak and sort of whittle things down or throttle them back when you're not using a lot of CPU, and then throttle them back up when you know there's going to be a CPU spike. That requires planning. It also requires downtime for that sort of non-automatic scaling. So there is an impact there, but again, you can make a big saving by planning that properly and executing a really good plan to reduce your overall CPU consumption. Auto scaling is only available in Oracle's autonomous database offerings, and that allows you to have the CPU throttle up and throttle down automatically without downtime, which is a really good thing to do, and obviously could make a cost savings, but you're automatically going into a certain higher end of service by going for the autonomous database option there. So worth looking at. Could make potential savings on that basis, but not necessarily the right thing for everyone. Another interesting option there is to go for horizontal scaling and adding more instances to a pool of application servers, for example. And Oracle offers this as part of its offerings and standard sort of capabilities for things like application server as well. So again, you can have one instance and then add more to it as you know workloads are going to spike, and then throttle those back down and shut back down to a minimum of one instance. Another key thing for people to think about is the sizing of things like disaster recovery. You don't need disaster recovery to be the same capacity or CPU count as production. If it's just running data guard, applying logs, for example, it can be whittled right back down and can be a bare bones instance. And obviously that will then get scaled up in the event of DR switch. But by keeping it low CPU consumption, that brings the cost right down for running that service. Looking at CPU graphs like this are obviously a helpful trend. This particular server is probably fairly well sized. There's a bit of reduction we could do to make sure that this is the right sort of size, but it's not far off being optimal. Whereas this particular CPU utilization, there's very few times that this server gets above 10, 20%. And so this server could benefit from scaling and alteration of CPU allocation to it. The final thing that can make a really big difference to people's bills is downtime and scheduling, shutting down of instances. So services don't need to run 24/7. Non-prod, for example, can run just during the week, depending on your time zones and when your developers need access. But this can have a really big impact. It needs scripting. Obviously, there will be downtime. It needs some intelligence putting into this. But by doing so, you can have a significant impact on your costs. So if you move from a 24/7 basis to a 12/5 basis, that's going to be 35% of the total cost of 24/7. And again, cumulative effect over multiple non-prod environments will have a significant impact on your bill and bring the costs that you pay to Oracle down significantly. So that's the end of this particular session. We have more videos available on YouTube. You can see the link there. There's a mixture of Oracle, OCI and Azure videos there for you to have a look at. And please get in contact with us if you have any more questions or if you want to discuss any of these topics in more detail, and we can provide our advice and provide a complimentary workshop to you on that basis. Thank you very much.